But tonight's proposal,
Okay.
is proposal number 2. Public property has 7 employees, 1 supervisor, 1 employee at City Hall in the Pruitt Building. Superintendent supervises 5 employees at the cemetery. The cost to the city for the superintendent in 2009 was $88,356.89 in dollars out of pocket, plus a pickup, plus a phone, plus radios, plus an office. Conservatively costs the taxpayers $100,000 per year for the public property superintendent. Now, here's the proposal. Make the street and alley superintendent the superintendent over the cemetery, the City Hall, the Pruitt Building, Lake Harrisburg, public property, or vice versa. Make the public property the superintendent, the head of the street and alley. City Hall and the Pruitt Building are janitorial work. They take care of themselves. The cemetery in Lake Harrisburg are mowing and road maintenance. Mowing and road maintenance are already done by the street and alley department. These are not jobs that require extensive supervision. Certainly not $100,000 per year in supervision. So if you get rid of one of those 2 superintendents, you save the taxpayers $100,000 a year, and then I propose you reorganize the city council along those same lines. So you have a street and alley / public property commissioner, you have a fire and police commissioner, you have a finance commissioner, and you have a water and sewer commissioner. Then the mayor would have plenty of time to perform public relations and economic development functions. So under that scenario, Russell Duncan would become the water and sewer commissioner, perhaps. The street and alley commissioner would maintain the same posture, but would have the public property. And for God's sakes, the roads that go through the cemetery are the same as the roads that go through town, and the mowing the cemetery is the same as mowing some of the parkways and the other things that the street and alley department mow. Just got more government than we can afford. We only need 1 superintendent to supervise those additional 6 people. I think either one of our superintendents, the street and alley superintendent or the public property superintendent, is up to the task. I just don't think we need to waste $100,000 a year to supervise 5 people.
Why wasn't this done in the past councils?
I think in the past councils, we had plenty of money. And in fact, you know, when you all got here, there was a lot of money in the bank. There's been a lot of things happen. There's been some economic distress in the city. Sales tax revenues have been down. There's a lot of things that this city council has spent money on that need to be spent money on. I agree with that. You know, we've had some flood control projects and some other things. And that's why, you know, when you get more government than you can afford and you spend your reserves down, you have to tighten your belt and do some things. You know, maybe 15 years ago you could afford to have a mayor's secretary. Maybe 15 years ago you could afford to have an additional public property superintendent. But I think now it's better to have 1 commissioner for public property, street and alley, to take care of all the public property wherever it is, and whichever superintendent is, I'm not here to judge that. That's for y'all to determine. And I think it would be great to allow the mayor to do public relations and economic development and take the water and sewer department out and place it with one of the commissioners, as is the fire and police department, as is finance department. You save $100,000 a year right off the bat, every year, year after year, and I think you got better government, and there are other savings that would be occasioned by combining those departments. You got a backhoe out at public property. You need it there, but sometimes you might need it for street and alley. You got mowers for street and alley. You got mowers for public property. You got dump trucks. You know, there's just so much cross purposes that go on between those 2 departments. It's a way to save a lot of money, not just the $100,000 for the superintendent. It's a way to save money in infrastructure. It's a way to save money in vehicles. It's just a way for the city to save money year after year after year. And I wish the city had lots of money and you all didn't have to worry about this, but you don't. You got police cars that are breaking down in the street, in the alley behind my house, and having to call people because they got too many miles on it, and the water pumps are blowing up. You got antiquated road equipment. You all need to find some money someplace. I'm trying to help, but I wish you'd vote on it.
We appreciate that very much. And I would say, just in clarification, that the superintendent of neither one of those departments makes $100,000 a year. That's including all the fringe benefits and everything. I don't want that to be misinterpreted, that someone makes that salary.
The $88,356.89 includes the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund contribution. It includes the workers' compensation payments that are made. It includes the health insurance and life insurance. It includes as I understand it, includes the expenditures made by the city. The city actually writes checks, not to either one of those superintendents, but in total writes checks for $88,356.89 to the most cost-effective of those two superintendents. The other superintendent's total cost is, I believe, $6,000 or $7,000 higher. But I picked the lowest cost to be the most conservative when I presented this to you.
I just wanted to say that for those listening, not to.
Any questions?
I had one other, let me think. Oh, more than anything, a comment. When you were mayor, the system was set up this way, and then mayors since then. And what you're proposing is a very significant change. And just want people to understand, we all know, we didn't set the system up to be the way it is. You didn't set the system up to be the way it is.
No, in fact, I'm glad you brought that up. Historically, if you went back before I was the mayor, the city had a water committee.
Wasn't it a water district? What was it?
Sewer board.
We
Yeah.
had a water and sewer
And that
board.
was-
It's a 3-member board which was funded separately
And it was abolished in 81, is that correct?
before my time.
81, 89.
And by the time I got to the chair there, John Cummins had preceded me as mayor, and then Ron Morris was the mayor. But it was done away with in John Cummins' term sometime in the late 70s or early 80s. And that was a cost-saving measure to move it under the mayor's auspices at that time.
There's been some significant changes. My point was just to say it's been a long time.
Yes,
It's been before you too.
absolutely.
This would take a lot of consideration in a lot of different ways. We appreciate it, and we are giving these things consideration. I can't say whether anyone will put it on the next agenda or not, but thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, I have
You have something?
I have